Guys, we'll start with the weirdness of this presser you've seen in the virtual set together. We've never had a Derby presser like this before. What's it like from your end?
It feels a bit like last week in Geelong. 3 people in the room. For me, anyway. I don't know about you.
Well, I guess it's a sign of the times. Last week for us was such a unique week. Playing here in front of no crowds was quite eerie. So to have at least a few people in the room sitting alongside another coach, it's better than last week.
Adam, you got a home crowd confirmed last night, 45,000. That would give you a bit of a boost heading into it.
Yeah, I don't think either team would like to play in front of no crowd. But yeah, having a home game, unfortunately Fremantle missed out last week. It would have been really disappointing. But they still got the job done and still played really well. Having a crowd for us is great, financially as well. It's going to be important. So, going to need the support. I think everyone's got to wear masks as well. So it might be a bit muffled, but they can definitely clap.
Simo, can you just give us an update on Tom Barrass and his shoulder and whether he'll play or not?
Well, we're still holding out hope. He just got a knock really late in the game in the shoulder, so he didn't have another contest after it, so he couldn't really test it out. So we're sort of leaving it to the last minute. So we'll test him out tomorrow morning. With the teams these days, you don't have to put the teams in till pretty late. So we won't be mucking around. If he's not in, he's not in. But we'll give him every chance to play.
Would you, if he doesn't play, it's sort of obviously without McGovern, it leaves you pretty thin down back. What are your options if he were not to get up for the game?
Yeah, we've got to get creative, I suppose, if we don't have McGovern or Barrass. So Shannon Hearn will come back into the side, so that'll be good for our leadership and strength down back. Oscar Allen's played down back before. We tried that at training yesterday. We play a smaller back line and be as flexible as we can. We just got to get creative.
Justin, I suppose. Sorry, you go, Spooky.
When you say get creative, Adam, is that sort of sticking with your system but just plugging different personnel into different roles, or do you get creative with the way that you play?
Maybe a bit of both. Yeah, we've got to work through it. Obviously, we had a really poor performance last week with the way we want to play. We didn't look anything like that. So, we've got a way of playing. Freo got a way of playing. I think you got to stand by your system. But there is a tipping point as well with personnel. So we'll just have to work through that. Hopefully he plays. We don't have to worry about it.
Simo, in terms of where you're at so far this year, 3-3, obviously you want to keep the Derby streak going, but in terms of a response from the team, how important is it that you get something, and for the fans there as well?
Oh, yeah, we're really disappointed last week, absolutely. So, we've been inconsistent this year, and having said that, the 2 games, we lost prior to Geelong, I thought we were in winning positions at 3/4 time. So, we haven't been consistent over 4 quarters really for most of the year, and I said this against Geelong last week, and it was pretty true. If we can't play 4 quarters of footy this week, we won't win. So that's our goal. It's our challenge. Regardless of personnel, we want to, play a brand that people are proud of, win, lose or draw. So that's our challenge this week.
Justin, in terms of your personnel and defenders as well, Brendan Cox and also Luke Bryan yesterday, a fresh concern there. Can you give us an update on both where they're at the moment?
Yeah, we're pretty comfortable with the way Brennan's going. He did a bit of running yesterday post our main session, and he's tracking pretty well. Luke's got a knock to his calf in the game against North Melbourne. It hindered him a bit at training on Tuesday, but then yesterday it sort of flared up a little bit and he didn't get through. So, bit like what Simo said with Barrass, we'll give him a good fitness test, a good going over tomorrow. And if he passes that, we'll play him. If he doesn't, we won't take any risks. So that's where it sits at the moment.
So he's obviously probably more in doubt than Brennan. Is Toby Watson the natural replacement for him and to go with Hughes and Griffin Logue then?
Yeah, well, he's one we've got on standby. He was unlucky to go out of the side against Adelaide. The week before he played his role, played it really well. So, if a mishap happens with one of those other 2, Toby is probably the likely replacement.
And I guess on Sunday it presents us not only a time to end the streak, but also a time to to set yourselves up at 5-2 with another home game to come against Brisbane and Optus, it's a really crucial game for yourselves in that bid to get back to finals for the first time in 5 years, isn't it?
Well, we're just seeing it as another challenge. I think West Coast's form at home in particular has been outstanding. The game against Port Adelaide not long ago, they smashed the top side here, and they've been really strong. So we see it as a really good challenge to see where we're at. We need to build on our form. We haven't played 4 quarters, I don't think, yet. Our first half against Adelaide was disappointing. Last week we played in spits and spurts. So, we need to keep building on our footy as well and build some consistency in what we're trying to do. And this week's just another opportunity for us to do that.
I guess there's a feeling by many outside of the football clubs that this is the time for Fremantle to really have a crack. Does it feel internally that you've been building towards something like knocking them off on Sunday?
Oh, not really, to be honest. That hasn't really come into our factoring this week. Like I said, we see it as another challenge. Clearly, we haven't beaten West Coast for a long time, but I've played them once in regular season since we've been playing a new brand, a new system. So, like I said before, it's another challenge for us this season. A team that clearly finished above us on the ladder last year is in really good form at home and still got a lot of really strong players across all lines of their team. So, it's just another challenge for us as a group.
Justin, with Tom Barras being in doubt, do you consider your selection changes? Do you maybe keep Josh Tracy in the team to have another tour to expose that? And I suppose after that, Adam, if you can maybe answer the same question with Luke Ryan, how does that change your thinking? This stuff, it does make a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And we're still trying to strike the right balance in our team. Last week we probably went in with 4 genuine midfielders. There's an opportunity for us to bring Tucker in to give us another midfielder this week. Does that mean we go a little bit smaller in our front half or stay taller and go one less small? So I think you're consistently tweaking your team to see what works best. And clearly the opposition plays a part in that, but I think your own balance probably plays more of a part. And we're still trying to find that since probably Chera's gone out of the side. What sort of a balance we find in that midfield. So there's a few decisions to still weigh up.
I can't remember what the question was.
I suppose it's just about with Luke Ryan in doubt. Let's say you see the teams tomorrow and he's not in it. Does that change what you do? Do you consider a late change to counteract that? How much of that plays a part in what actually happens on the day? Who gets out there?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if that sends the right message to your team if you have to wait to the last minute and then change to try and expose another team's potential weakness. I mean, we'll pick our side. It's a day before the game. It's less than 24 hours when the sides come out. So, no, I think whatever we pick, we'll go with, and whether Fremantle had the selection issue or not, that's going to be regardless of what we do. So, we're a little bit different. We've got Josh JK will come back, so we could have quite a tall forward line, but quite a small back line. So we'll keep working through that once we know what happens with Tom.
Later Monday, Adam's in unbelievable form. Did tag a 35-year-old midfielder who might be the informed midfielder of the comp?
I was 2 years ago. I was thinking, he's just about done. He'd be a good coach. Let's maybe see where he's at, and now we might be tagging him on the weekend. So I think collectively the midfield's in a really good space. They share the load. I think the last 3 weeks there's been a tag thereabouts on one of those players, and the other guys carry the load quite well. They look after each other around the ball as well. So, yeah, we've been tagging for a couple of weeks. So whatever decision we make, it'll be interesting how we go about it, because sometimes if you take out one and others step up, it may be a futile exercise. So we'll work through that ourselves. But yeah, he's in great form, and hopefully he has a stinker on the weekend.
Adam, just in
How
terms
do
of...
you stop the run-ons that you've had issues
great.
with for the past couple of losses? 13 against Geelong, 8 against the Saints, obviously. How do you stop the run-ons that have been happening?
Oh, that's a great question. Part of what happened on the weekend, momentum was lost out of the middle. We didn't defend as a team, and we didn't handle when McGovern went down. The time before against the Saints, we got beaten out of the middle. We couldn't do anything with the ball. We got out pressured and out hustled. So every situation's a little bit different, but regardless of that, you need your leaders to stand up, and you can support in the box with some structural changes to slow down the game. So we've tweaked a couple of things with that during the week, and you just got to keep learning. Really, it's happened twice in the last 3 weeks. So if it happens again, hopefully we're better equipped.
You've been scrambling a bit with your team with selection and stuff, with moving midfielders back like Duggan, and Alan's been forward back at times. You mentioned he might go back again. Is the challenge of not upsetting one section impacting upon the ability to improve another section as you're trying to select your team?
Yeah, we can't shy away from it. We're missing, 8 or 9 players, and 7 of them all Australian sort of, type players. So it's hard to replace McGovern or Yo or Shuey or Liam Ryan. So, yeah, we're trying to find a balance for us, because you chop and change every week. It's hard to be consistent. So we've got a system that we play. We like to think if your personnel changes, you play the same brand. But there's a challenge with that, with personnel. So we're lucky, I suppose. Some players are experiencing some different roles, and that'll hold us in good stead down the track. Oscar Allen, we think's a really good forward for us, but he came into the side a couple of years ago as a back, and he's played ruck as well. Liam Duggan got drafted as a midfielder, but found his position in the side as a good half back, so he's been in the midfield a bit as well. Jackson Nelson's been tagging, so we're working through all that. It's not perfect, and hopefully we settle down next few weeks.
Adam, Tim Kelly's obviously had a pretty significant workload in the absence of Shuey and Yo, but he looked a bit banged up. How's he tracking? And also Jamie Cripps obviously not doing too much this week with the ribs.
No, they're both good. Yeah, no, they're both okay. Yeah, I think they both trained yesterday, and they're right to go. So just standard sort of knocks. So Cripper got a bit of a knock in his ribs, but he went back out on the ground, and he's fine. He's fine to play.
So you disappointed performance last week, but you go into the game as favourites. Do you think that's fair?
What? Sorry, what was the question?
You go into the game this week as favourites despite being maybe not in the best form. Do you think it's a fair assessment that you're going in as favourites?
Oh, I've got no idea about how the odds work. It's not. I'm the coach of the side. I'm not sports bet. So I would have thought Fremantle should be quite confident about how they're going about it. I mean, they've won 3 in a row, and this is not a rope-a-dope statement. It's just the way it is. They've got confidence. They've got belief. They're building. We know our best is good enough as well, so it's going to be a really interesting game.
Adam, the personnel issues you've got sort of a little bit reminiscent of that St Kilda game last season. Can you sort of whip up that back to the wall mentality and try and get another gritty, grinding performance like that?
Well, that'd be great if we could do that. Yeah, that was a really good win for us last year. We were missing a few soldiers then, so we just want to play consistently well, and regardless of personnel, we think we've been doing the same thing for long enough that people can come in and play their role, and that's what we'll lean on this week.
Justin, can you tell us, you mentioned...
Sorry?
Could your team actually benefit from just a change of mentality like that?
I'm not sure what that question means, but, we want to play like that every week. We didn't deliver on the weekend in that sense. So win, lose or draw, we want to play a brand that our fans and supporters are proud of.
Justin, you mentioned Darcy Tucker before. Is he playing? It sounds like he's a first choice guy when he's fit and going. Is he in the team?
Yeah, he is. He's going to come in. He's in our best 22 for sure. He's obviously had recurring hamstring issue. He had played a game in the Rezzies 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately missed last week, but think he's got a good body of work behind him. He can play multiple roles for us. He adds flexibility to our midfield and other areas of the ground. So, yeah, we'll welcome him back this week.
And just on Tracy, obviously the question of West Coast full-backs is there, but where do you see him at? Does he need to go back and have a go at the Waffles to find some form, or do you back him in, or where do you sit with him?
Well, he's a young key forward who's playing a role for us at the moment that doesn't probably allow him to get on the end of too many chains of possession, but what he's doing is he's allowing others to get one-on-one looks, and he's occupying a good defender. So, we'll just have to weigh that up, whether we want to go with the three talls. The other aspect of it is it probably limits Fife going forward and in essence playing 4 tall forwards down there. So it's something that we're trying to work through. Whether we give him another go or whether we give him a stint in the reserves. So we'll have that discussion to Savo, see how the rest of the team pulls up after the captain's run, and then lodge our team tomorrow night.
And just one more from me, mate. Sean Darcy, has he had an okay week on the track, or is he a bit sore? Where's he at?
No, he's had 2 good sessions. There's nothing wrong with Shawnee. He's been pulling up really well. I think he did all the session yesterday. He was definitely out there in the match sim, and he's going well.
Justin, in terms of your fans, obviously they missed out last week with the Land Hall tribute game, and it was pretty tough. And then obviously the All Clear comes through. Is it, I guess, a small win that it's only 45,000, not potentially 60, and that maybe the Eagles fans are masked up? Maybe they can muster a bit of that noise.
Maybe. I think that's probably pinching at straws a little bit. Like 45,000 Eagles supporters still going to be pretty loud. It's disappointing for our fans last week and disappointing for the club, but the positive is that we've come out of it pretty quickly. We've got a home game next week, so it all bodes well for that. I think whether it's your home crowd or an away crowd, I still think your players draw off that energy. It's definitely going to be better than playing in front of an empty stadium, which we experienced last week. So, it's good that the government's got on top of it quickly and we're returning to some sort of normality.
It's similar, I guess, being a Western Derby and that passion there between the fan bases. I imagine the 45 would almost sound like 60. And have you ever played a game of footy or any sport where fans have actually had to wear masks to come and watch?
I think you know the answer to that. No. But, look, it's just like I said at the very beginning, it's just great that we got through this and that we can play in front of a crowd. It's logistically not a nightmare for the footy club to allocate the tickets to the members, and some people are going to miss out, which is disappointing. But we were a bit worried that it was going to be no crowd or 50%. So to get 75, that's just great for everyone in the state, and we can't wait.
Last couple of questions, guys.
Joe, I was just going to ask you, in your own history with the club, what's it like now seeing the Derby streak extend to 10 matches, and how keen are you to end that run this week?
Oh, really keen. It's disappointing, but the Eagles have been a really good side while we've bottomed out a little bit. We feel like we're on the up, but West Coast is still a really good side. So they play a good system. They've got good personnel still all over the ground, and we're going to have to be at our best to break the streak. So, there's not really much else to say. Like, we're not going to look too much into the past. We're about what we're delivering now and into the future.
And when you were a player, what did the Derbies mean to you? Because I know the coaches always try to play it down and try to take as much of the emotion out. But as a player, how did you feel during when you were playing those?
Well, you definitely build on the hype, grow from the hype. Obviously the fans and all your family, and they thrive on this week. It means a lot to them. So you do grow a leg off that. It is a big game. But as a coach, we're trying to get our players to stick to a process, stay in the moment, not get caught up in the outside hype and noise, and that's no different this week. Try and keep a level head, stay in the moment as much as we can.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry if you answered this earlier. My sound dropped out for a little bit. Did you mention Harry Edwards earlier during this? You said him on radio earlier today. If you haven't mentioned him, can you talk a bit about Harry Edwards and why he's coming in?
Harry will come in. Yeah, he's playing. I think he played against Geelong last year and got knocked out in the first 5 minutes. So it sort of counts as a game, I suppose. But he'll come in and replace McGovern. So he'll play back. He's 200 centimetres. He's grown probably 10 centimetres in a year and a half. He's competitive. We think he's ready as he can be at the moment, and we need him to stand up for us and play like he's played 50 games. So he's been emerging for a few weeks. He's playing pretty good at waffle footy under duress, and there's quite a lot of supply at the Waffle Eagles at the moment coming down in our back line. So he'll come in and play a role for us.